Here at Bob's Watches, we receive thousands of watches from all over the world, each with their own story and personality. But one thing is never certain. We never know what's in the box.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another Watch in the Box. Today we got a package in from Tucson, Arizona. Hopefully it's got something really nice in there. So let's open it up and see what we got. Okay, this watch should be in here. Doesn't look or feel like there's any box and papers included with this one, so it's probably just a watch. Yeah, it looks like it's just a watch. Let's see what we got. Oh, very nice. All right, this is a great watch. I'm so glad we got this in. 1680 Red Submariner, one of my favorite vintage subs. I love the red on the dial. I think it's a really cool touch. I think it's a really cool feature. And this one's beautiful. It's in great shape for its age. The bracelet's not very stretched. I mean, it's scratched, but it's been worn. It's a vintage watch. The case looks really nice as well. It looks like it could be unpolished, which is huge. Any vintage watches, unpolished case is a major, major point. These watches get sent back to Rolex and fixed and tuned up and polished over and over again, and it changes the shape of the case slightly over time. And to find one that's unpolished is really rare. Probably only a couple % of these actually have never been polished. And this one, it's hard to tell for sure. I mean, you can see there's scratches on it and there's wear on it like, any watch of this age you would find, but you can still see the bevels on the lugs are still there. They haven't been polished away. It still feels really sharp, which is nice. A watch this old, to have a case that feels that clean and sharp is really a great feature. The hands and the markers look like they match, meaning they're original, and they have a gorgeous patina that's really even and really deep all the way throughout all the markers and the hands. It's got a nice creamy yellow color. It's not real dark. Some of them you see and they get kind of a dark orange or burnt orange color. This one, to me personally, is kind of the perfect color on the patina. It has a really nice creamy yellow color. It really says that it's a vintage watch without being over the top. And this dial looks like it's in really good shape too. So I don't see any scratches. I do see a tiny little chip up kind of between the 11 and 12 o'clock at the very edge. It's really minor. Technically it is a damage and it is, it will hurt the value somewhat of the dial. But overall, when you look at the watch, it doesn't stand out. It's not right in the middle. You don't notice it. It's just really a beautiful dial. Another interesting thing about this reference number is the inclusion of the date. This was the first Submariner that included the date in the date window. Before this, the Submariner was really kind of strictly a tool watch, strictly a dive watch. And this was the only Submariner with a date that included the acrylic crystal. After this one, it went to the sapphire crystal. Before this, it had no date. So this is kind of a cool transitional piece from Rolex. Having the date makes it a little more of a daily wear watch. It kind of goes from business casual wear to also diving and tool watch. Before this, they didn't include the date. It was thought of more as kind of a strict tool watch or strict dive watch. But the inclusion of the date made it a little more practical to wear in your day-to-day life, much like a modern Rolex today. So what makes this watch really cool is the Redline Submariner. Before this, the Submariners were all printed in white, and being that there's not really any other color on this watch other than it's steel, it's black, the markers are white or were originally white, and then you have that red Submariner kind of standing out at you. It really makes a statement on the dial. It's really eye-catching. It looks really cool on the dial. It stands out. It's just a great detail, and it makes this watch instantly recognizable. These watches weren't initially really rare, not that they made a very small number of them or anything like that. The dials actually got replaced over time. So if you sent your watch into Rolex and it had damage on the dial, like for example, if whoever owns this watch sent it in, said the dial was damaged, there's a chip up around the 11 o'clock, Rolex would replace the dial, service it, clean it, polish it, send it back, and you would have a great looking dial on your 1680 and the Submariner would be white. So over time, the more time goes on, the more watches get serviced, the dials get replaced with white dials, and the red ones have become pretty rare because of that. So it's really a nice example to have the 1680 with the original Redline Submariner printed on it, and it's really kind of iconic for Rolex. There are actually several variations of the Redline Submariner dial. This one looks like it's a Mark VI dial. You can tell that because it has a feet first rather than a meters first, which means it's a little bit later. They started out, it was meters first, and then I think the first couple iterations were meters first dials, and then they went to where they flipped it around and now it's feet first. And then also the 6, if you look on where it says 660 feet, the 6s are slightly different shapes. So before it would be a 6 and then it's kind of open where it doesn't, the edge of the 6 doesn't come back and touch the body, got a little bit closer. This one's actually, they call it a closed 6, where the 6 is all, the lines all touch and it makes a continuous loop. So I believe is a Mark 6 dial, which makes it a little bit later. I think there's 7 in total, and the 7th one I believe is a service dial. So this came towards the end of the generation of the Redline Submariner dials, which I think was 4 years if I'm not mistaken. This watch looks great in person. Let's see what it looks like on the wrist. Oh, but first, wrist check. Today I'm wearing the bronze version of the Tudor Black Bay. This fits great. There's lots of room in that bracelet. It fits really nice. It's a 40 millimeter. If you've ever worn a Rolex Sport model, you'll know exactly how it fits. A little bit smaller than the modern versions because of the smaller case, but it really fits nice on your wrist, and I think it looks fantastic. In terms of value, a watch like this, I mean, it's hard to tell. We'd really have to get in there with a loop and take it apart and do a thorough evaluation. There's so many details on these vintage watches, but something like this probably go between $20,000 and $25,000. Well, that's it for this one. Thanks for stopping by to check it out. It's a really nice watch, and I'm glad I was able to share it with you. So be sure to like and subscribe for future Watch in the Box videos.